You know, sometimes you gotta chill a little and smell the roses. Relax. Enjoy life. Take some time to yourself when you have it between school, work, or whatever it is that keeps you busy and is mandatory for you to do. It's okay to take breaks between your obligations and live a little. And wait a second. Why am I getting so philosophical? This was supposed to be a Pokemon video. Specifically about Legend ZA and Roserade. Oh, Roserade. That's why alright. Yeah, this is a rose I'm not trying to smell for a myriad of reasons. And part of why is that it stinks. Last time we saw it in Gen 8, where it was in RU in Smogon singles, and I'm pretty sure it never saw the light of day in doubles. RU isn't too bad. It's right smack in the middle of the tiers, which is something. But as someone who enjoys this mon, I don't think that's good enough. And here's why. First and foremost, let's take a look at its speed. Base 90, right? That doesn't sound too bad on paper, and originally, it wasn't. However, the issue is that while its speed was okay for its time of exactly Generation 4, it was a solid T-Spikes lead, and that's kind of all it really amounted to last I checked. Slap the sash on it, get up toxic spikes or a layer of regular spikes, and die. Possibly 2 layers on the very off chance that your lead Roserade is faster than the other lead. Which, given that some of the more prominent leads in Gen 4 are Azelf and Aerodactyl, yeah, I got doubts. Okay, but what about the rest of its stats? Well, let's see here. It's got 60 HP, 70 attack, 65 defense, 125 special attack. Well, that's amazing. Why don't we use this Pokemon offensively? Well, actually, we used to. There was a Scarf set that played Stabs, Hidden Power, and something else. But we'll get to why that was in a bit. And then 105 special defense. So, all in all, other than special attack and special defense, nothing to write home about outside of the special attack. It's actually got the highest special attack out of any grass and poison, including Mega Venusaur. This is impressive, and it shows that they had a clear idea on what they at least wanted Roserade to do. Therefore, it makes this Pokemon's stats better designed than Luxray's. Now, where things get weird, it's got 2 actually really solid abilities. And Poison Point. Yeah, we aren't gonna talk about Poison Point. Natural Cure lets it remove status on Switch Out, letting it remove paralysis, which is super good, because no matter what set you're trying to run, you despise Thunder Wave. And then Technician? Well, that does exactly what you would expect it to do, now doesn't it? You've seen Scizor use Bullet Punch. I'm not going to explain what Technician does. Technician, however, used to arguably be its very best ability, because being able to turn Hidden Power from base 60 to base 90 in Gen 6 and 7 very much gave Roserade the tools it needed to counter whatever oddly specific threat it was tasked with dealing with. Wanted Charizard dead? HP Rock. You wanted Lando and Gliscor gone? HP Ice. Wanted Ferrothorn gone? HP Fire. These moves all did the trick, and you could never tell what base 90 power coverage option it was throwing at you until it hit. And then Hidden Power got removed in Generation 8, and it was left with Mud Slap, Pin Missile, Swift, and then like that, it stopped being an ability and we got left with exactly Natural Cure. This is still nice and all, but that Hidden Power nerf really took away a lot of the sauce. And now we get to where things truly went downhill. The stats are arguably usable, although you are a little frail on the physical side. Your special attack and special bulk are actually solid. So what's stopping Roserade nowadays from prospering offensively? Since anyone with any knowledge of today's modern metagame knows we have 30 better hazard setters than this mon. Well, let me tell you, its move pool is more shallow than Johnny Bravo. It's more of an unlimited void than Gojo's Domain. Outside of Hidden Power and its stabs, you know what coverage it gets? Dazzling Gleam, Shadow Ball, and Extrasensory. These moves are not particularly strong, capping off on a base 80 power. And Extrasensory specifically isn't hitting very much. At best, you're hitting other poison types, but most poisons you're going to be fighting will shrug off your extrasensory regardless of your special attack stat. Dazzling Gleam is nice for hitting dragons, but due to its average base power, it isn't going to threaten them enough to prevent their setup. Want proof? That's the calc. And yeah, Salamence can't switch in, but Salamence is faster, and Salamence can live in the 1v1 to set up a D-Dance. And after D-Dance, yeah, your Roserade who already died to a dual wing beat, super dies to a dual wing beat. Shadow Ball hitting Psychics is nice and all, but any faster Psychic just uses Size Shock and pretty much kills you. Any slower Psychic has the bulk to live Shadow Ball, use Size Shock, and kill you. It's a sad state of affairs. Basically, this Pokemon lacks coverage, and that's what causes it to become incredibly lackluster as an attacker. As for its actual stabs, surely those are good, right? No. Giga Drain, Energy Ball, and Sludge Bomb are alright at best, but they don't have the mashability of, let's say, Rillaboom Grassy Glide, Salamence Outrage, Metagross Meteor Mash, or like Chandelore's Fire Blast. It's lacking the proper base power that would otherwise turn it into an excellent wall breaker. Okay, so now that we've established why Roserade is bad and needs a Mega Evolution, how would I go about buffing it? Well, first things first. We're gonna make sure it ain't built anything like Mega Venusaur. If we just gave it bulk increases, all this mon would know how to do is use Spikes, Toxic Spikes, Leech Seed, Synthesis, Giga Drain, Toxic, and other moves that fit the defensive agenda. Game Freak clearly intended Roserade to fill the role of an attacker, and that's what we're gonna spec into. So, let's start with the stats. Okay, so I don't want to give this mon too much speed, but I do want to make sure it's distinguished from Mega Venusaur. So, let's start by just giving it 30 speed. It'll put it on the same speed tier as Sneasler, and I think that's good enough. Yeah, we gave Luxray more speed than that, but Luxray is a worse mon that needs all the help it can get. As we established, Roserade at least has things going for it. Next up, special attack? So this is gonna sound very strange, but I only want to put 25 into that. Let me explain, right? Pokemon like Mega Latios, Mega Gardevoir, and Mega Diancie are slower than it, so they deserve to be stronger than it at the very least. It would be unfair to give this Mega a whopping 160 special attack and 120 speed. That's just an Uber waiting to happen. I think that 150 special attack and 120 speed is at least a lot more manageable and would make it see play without outright breaking it. So I have 45 more points to use. As funny as it would be to give Roserade a base 150 special defense, to make it Clodsire with an attacking stat is a terrible idea. Let's give 25 points to Roserade's defense so it can at least pretend like it takes a physical hit, and then put the extra 20 we have left in the special defense. That at least keeps it realistic with how Game Freak designs a Mega. I firmly believe its typing should remain the same, honestly. It isn't broken, and I'm not fixing it. So, now for its ability. So, weirdly enough, I want to keep Natural Cure. Let me explain. So, you know how getting paralyzed or put to sleep actually just sucks? Imagine if you could, let's say, just switch out, and then be able to bring your Mega back in later, but not paralyzed or asleep. Yeah, exactly. Sure. One could argue that your now bulkier, faster, stronger Mega could use rest and then switch out. But like, yeah, I guess? Thanks for the free turn to let me set up, I guess? Not to mention, you'd be giving up coverage to play rest, which I think is just worse in the long run when you're trying to play a sweeper. I thought about giving it Grassy Surge, but I realized that that would be insanely busted and not okay. Same with adaptability, neuroforce, or anything of a nature that makes it stronger. We give it only 150 special attack, so it could feel weaker than Mega Latios in terms of power. Giving it a broken ability that buffs it removes the purpose. So that's how I'd make a Mega Roserade if I were designing it. I realized as I was going through what Roserade could do, if given the proper tools, it could be really busted. So I had to make sure that Mega Roserade still felt like a Mega while also making sure it felt balanced. As fun as watching a Pokemon you like gain a broken Mega is, I would actually like to use mine in competitive singles, and not sit there crying to myself as Mawile being too broken means I can't use it outside of Ubers, or it sucks. With that said, now that these roses smell a lot nicer, I think I'll go get a whiff.